appears that Qanon Shaman Jacob Chansley will be spending a bit of time in prison. Now, this is after pleading guilty to civil disorder, obstruction of official proceeding, and disorderly conduct in a restricted building on September 3rd, is receiving a total of 41 months in jail. Not bad. Not bad. So that's nearly 3.5 years. So it's about what we expected. It appears that we have finally went from fuck around to actually finding out. Great. So now this is the second longest sentence. Actually, it is the longest sentence. I believe that the other Capitol rioter that I covered earlier this week also received a 44-month or 41-month sentence. So not bad. So Chansley had spoken in his own defense at his hearing and asked Judge Royce C. Lambert for some leniency, arguing that while he broke the law, he has learned his lesson since his time in jail and in solitary confinement. Here's what he told the judge, quote, "Men of honor admit to when they're wrong. I was wrong for entering the Capitol. I have no excuse. No excuse whatsoever." So he also insisted that he is not an insurrectionist or a domestic terrorist, saying, "I am a good man who broke the law." No, I'm gonna disagree with that one. No, he's an insurrectionist, of course. Now, let's just say, I just want to point out that I don't agree with solitary confinement. I don't think we should send people to solitary confinement. Many experts, even the UN, has banned solitary confinement. It is literal torture. So I'm not on the side of torturing people, even though I do believe that Chansley belongs in jail and has belonged in jail. I don't think he's that much of a threat to where we should literally torture him. So he does not need solitary confinement. At the same time, look, not even the Muffin Man, as I mentioned, not even the Muffin Man deserves psychological torture, and that's what it is. And I'm very, very consistent on this. I'm not at all in favor of solitary. But if you want to put him in normal jail for 41 months, it's totally fine. Good, in fact. Now, Assistant U.S. Attorney General Kimberly Paschal had argued that no, Chansley should get 51 months. So let's add 10 more months. Paschal insisted that it was necessary to show this defendant and any other, regardless of their creed, beliefs, political persuasion, or otherwise, to anyone who may wish to do harm in this city, to this country, to this democracy. The message today is don't. Again, I agree with that. That's a good message, but I'll also say this. He's already been in jail for almost a year now. So if they want to count that as time served, that's totally fine. 41 months, I'll take it. That sends a plenty good message. Now, again, I just want to remind you what he did to deserve that sentence. He was one of the first people to breach the Capitol, of course. Prosecutors noted that Chansley was also among a small group that stormed the Senate chamber, while dozens of elected officials were forced to hide. The defendant then stalked the hallowed halls of the building, riling up other members of the mob with his screaming obscenities about our nation's lawmakers and flaunting this opportunity to rid our government of those he has long considered to be traitors, prosecutors wrote in a sentencing memo. After getting into the chamber, by the grace of God, that's according to him, Chansley admitted to authorities he sat in Vice President Mike Pence's Senate dais seat because, I love this. This is what they thought of Mike Pence, okay?
Mike Pounds.
He is, quote unquote, a child trafficking traitor. Okay, I am no fan of Mike Pence. I don't really care about Mike Pence. I think he's a terrible person. But what I don't think that he is a child trafficker. I'm so tired. And by the way, this is the thing they go to. If the right does not like someone, they call them a pedophile. And that's what they do. Child trafficker, pedophile, Satanist, or Satan-worshipping, blood-drinking pedophile, that's QAnon. It's insanity. Total insanity. Hey, how about we not do that? How about we actually stick to the facts and the reasons why people do not like or why you don't like someone based on factual information? Because the thing is, I can tell you all the things I don't like about Mike Pence without having to make things up. He was a terrible governor, terrible vice president. He's got awful policies. He's incredibly socially conservative, doesn't like gay people. Did one of the most restrictive abortion bans in Indiana when he was governor. See, that was really, really easy. I didn't have to make things up and calling me a child trafficker. Ridiculous, right? Ridiculous. Now, by the way, he had written to Mike Pence, "It's only a matter of time. Justice is coming." Now, later on, he's like, "Oh, no, that actually wasn't a threat. No, it's not a threat. Totally not." Just like the chant of, see, you heard hang Mike Pence. What we actually said is hang my pants. Hang my pants. Hang my pants. Hang my pants. See, no threat. There's no threat. In fact, Chansley was just letting them know that they were planning on doing laundry later and that, justice is coming for that ketchup stain in your suit. We're going to get that stain. We're going to get it. We're going to clean house, literally, by doing your laundry. No. And this is as he was protecting the muffins and singing the songs of his people. Ridiculous, right? Jesus. Now, the feds also noted that prior to the riot, Chansley was a leader of QAnon, at least a self-proclaimed leader of QAnon, which, again, as I mentioned before, that literally believes that the Democrats are running a child sex ring for Satan and drinking their blood. So, that's how it is. Yeah. Insanity. Now, the prosecutors, in a November sentencing memo, I read this on the show before, but I just wanted to refresh you on this. They said that the government cannot overstate the seriousness of the defendant's conduct as one of the most prominent figures of the historic riot on the Capitol on January 6th. His consistent rhetoric before and after the event, and its apparent ability to carry out his intentions of violently removing the traitors in our government, is clear from the evidence of this case. Only the valiant efforts of law enforcement kept those upon whom he set his sights out of this path. Now, that's a good point, because imagine if they had gotten to AOC, Mike Pence, or even Nancy Pelosi. Now, Nancy Pelosi is ancient and confused as it is, okay? She's out of it. She is not, look, she's an older person. She ain't all there anymore. Hey, it happens. Maybe she should retire. And Dianne Feinstein, barely there upstairs. Imagine if one of these idiots, one of these violent assholes, actually got their hands on one of those people. That's terrible. As much as I don't like any of the politicians, or a lot of the politicians on Capitol Hill, that doesn't mean I want them to be, assaulted by an angry mob. That's horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I do not condone political violence. Now, there's some other things that they mentioned as well, and this is stuff that I don't really care too much about, but you know what? I will mention it anyway. So prosecutors in a memo in January noted that Chansley lied to authorities about drugs. Don't care. So he's like, oh, I only smoke pot 3 times a day. Or I'm sorry, not 3 times a day, 3 times a week. Okay, don't care. Now, in actuality, he apparently likes taking magic mushrooms and doing peyote. I don't care. Nobody cares to criminalize all drugs. It doesn't really matter. Why that would even matter? Why is that even relevant here? To this case, I have no idea. What's important about it is what he did. Okay. Now, what he did, by the way, was partly informed of some of the beliefs that he had. Like, again, in QAnon. Now, additionally, this is according to prosecutors, a full portrait of Chansley's mental health issues, which he has publicly disseminated, and which includes strongly held false mystical beliefs and leadership in a dangerous extremist group, QAnon founded on an imaginary conspiracy theory, were not disclosed by him, the memo says, adding that Chansley previously said he thinks he is quote-unquote an alien. God damn it, I wish I had that Alex Jones sound clip right now. I want to go to space. I want to see intergalactic travel. ET phone home, please. And just go away. We don't want you anymore. Go. Go. I'm not saying it's aliens. It's aliens. You're kidding. Now, look, the other interesting thing about Chansley, and you know, I don't really have too much of a problem with this as well, is the organic diet. I know a lot of people were making a lot of look. Even I made jokes about it. Sure, but here's the thing, right? So, prison food sucks. I'm pretty sure it does. It's not gourmet, but here's the thing: he actually did get his organic diet. I actually think everyone else should also get an organic diet if they choose. I don't think Jacob Chansley deserves special treatment, but I do think we should make prison food better. Now, why? Why? Well, because it's supposed to be rehabilitation, guys. Have we kind of lost sight? This is the fact that, you know, I don't believe that people should be put in solitary confinement. I think that prison conditions shouldn't be as horrible as they are. And so, you know, some of the right-wingers have a little bit of a point. And this is kind of ironic because every time that, for example, people like Rand Paul want to make the case for prison reform or rehabilitation and things like that, it's because usually it involves a right-winger being put in bad conditions. That's the only time they give a shit about prison conditions. When it's black people in there for nonviolent drug crimes, well, that's different. They don't actually give a shit about that. But when it comes to some of their own, well, I mean, obviously we need to do some prison reform. We need to do it right now. No, we needed to do it before. Again, prison conditions in this country are barbaric. And we do need to rehabilitate people, and I think we should. And by the way, I said this before, Chansley, if this guy goes in, if Chansley goes into prison and 3 years later comes out as a better person, more stable, and actually recognizes reality and serves his time, well, isn't that the point? Isn't that the point? I mean, as terrible as what Chansley and some of the others had done and believed, do we not want them to come out to be better people? Who disavow nonsense conspiracies, who disavow the far right, and disavow people like Trump. Now, of course, you have to be cautious about that because as much as you want to believe people have changed, you have to see actions instead of words. And that is, understand that people do lie, people do obfuscate, and people are like, oh, no, I am completely rehabilitated, when they're actually not. So, yes, cautious optimism for sure. I'm not naive, but I do want change. And I do want people, who go through our justice system to be, to be rehabilitated and to go back into society as normal people. And I hope, look, I hope during his time he learns, he turns against the far right for real, and helps people either avoid falling down the right-wing conspiracy hole or helps people get out of that hole before they end up like him. That would be nice. That is a hope that I have. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen like that. There could be absolutely no change. But I have to have a little bit of hope. Now, his lawyer, Al Watkins, says, well, Chansley has gone through a period of introspection and realized that he made himself open to propaganda from Trump. Okay. One major factor in his wake-up call, Watkins says, was Trump snubbing a pardon. Well, of course. So Donald Trump only cares about himself. So, of course, he pardoned. I mean, who did he choose to pardon? Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, who literally stole millions of dollars from the suckers at We Built the Wall and put it in his pocket. Millions of dollars. I mean, and yet that's the guy, instead of the people who tried to make him president, in their minds, they thought they were going to try to make him president again. Trump's like, yeah, don't care. Take out the trash. Steve Bannon, hey buddy, I'll spring you, no problem. Because we're both con men, we're both grifters. And we both use those very people for our own ends. See, we're a lot alike, Steve Bannon and I, this Trump. So, yeah. Now, he also had noted that his client has rebranded and shall only be known henceforth as the Shaman. But, you know, I already have a name for him. He's the Muffin Man, because he was protecting the muffins. This case, by the way, Watkins says, is not about Donald Trump. It's not about politics. Actually, it is partly about Donald Trump, and it is partly about massively right-wing politics. It is not about conspiracy theorists and those who embrace the resultant conspiracies. Yes, it is. Watkins wrote in the sentencing memo, Mr. Chansley is not a political prisoner. He does not seek to be labeled such. Rather, this case is about a frail and vulnerable human, one of our own, possibly our sibling, kin, friend, colleague, coworker, neighbor. Oh, for God's sakes, I hope I don't have someone like that as my neighbor. But okay, all right. You made your case. So I guess, look, he's going away for 3.5 years, which means he should be out sometime around 2024. Oh, shit. Just in time for the next election. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.